not need practice. You need a new perspective. You can see 1,000 deaths and still feel pain at each one, so long as they hold meaning for you.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony and today we're playing Lake of Voices. So without further ado, let's hop in.
What part of it was supposed to be the joke? Do you even realize what is happening in this moment?
Never mind. Forget that too. Point is, I'm alright.
You have found yourself out alone and unlit on Sinlos.
Exactly! Something must be wrong with you.
Oh no, sounds like you've been talking with my father.
He let a weak little laugh, coupled with an eyebrow raise, voice trembling. No one really knew what to make of this. Man gives a small wave and begins down the path we came. Melly huffs, tossing his hand into the air.
That's not even the right way.
It is for me.
Oh? You must have come quite a ways if it was the other shore you started on.
The man's smile grows.
Good. That's not so bad.
There's no response to this remark. Unsure of what could be said,
I still think he should come with us. A person needs a light, and the guide himself said he won't be able to manage on his own. Sticking with us is his best option.
I look over the man's body. Nothing. Noting the scrawniness of his limbs. Scrawny, but not necessarily lacking in muscle. The bravado he was showing as he tried to leave us has faded yet again. And now he's standing quietly looking at us, as if watching a play. Interest, but no true connection to the events.
It's easy for you to say such things, but whose light are you offering? It's not mine, and you are putting her in even more danger with your own presence already.
Melly's hands turn into fists. He looks away, but doesn't say anything. For a moment, no one does. I feel a cold sweat on my brow as what I feared come to pass. He's stopping us from protecting another. Why must he get involved now? Why can he not leave us to make our own decisions?
You... Don't worry about me. I'll be on my way now.
The man's voice is full of something I cannot place, and he starts to shuffle back down the way we came, arms still clenched around himself. I know the guide wants to act as though there's no option. However, I could stay back with him. I'll put Bamele and myself at significantly more risk, but at least the man will stand a chance. Do nothing. I can't risk it. Bamele stares at the man as he leaves. We both watch him drag his little frame down the bridge, quickly fading from sight. We had to let him go. We've already suffered the loss of one of our own. The space the man vanished into was dark and silent. We can see and hear nothing of him, not even his footsteps. The guide was right. There are no other options. Well, that is what I have to believe. We need to get through this somehow, and being weighed down with guilt will only distract us. The guide starts moving again at a quick pace. After a moment's hesitation and one last glance into the truly lifeless fog, we turn to catch up to him. We walk onwards in silence. Our party hasn't changed. The stranger was never added to it, so it's not as if it makes sense to miss him, but there's a sense of loss all the same. No one even attempts mirth. I keep thinking I should have done more, should have pushed the guide harder to change his mind, so it was less dangerous to keep the man around. Something. Anything. But I have to let this go. I'm not going to forget that man. I'll never forget him. But we still need to get through this. I curl my hands into my fists, hoping it'll strengthen my resolve, and then I push forward. We turn down a different path, and the guide stops. Out of us, a group of prowlers. At the sound of us, they turn their heads in unison, as if they knew we were coming. I inhale. The prowlers wriggle somehow, their skin moving more slowly than it should. Slaying across their skeletons, they laugh.
We cannot lose another lantern at this point. We're almost to the island.
The guide rummages through his coat with his free hand.
What are you planning?
Melly's tone is borderline threatening, but the guide ignores him. He pulls a small pouch, then opens the latch on his lantern.
Wait, are you going to throw that at them? What if the bridge sets on fire?
It will. We're going to run.
This is insane! These bridges are hellish enough without them also being on fire. And what about the other man? If he's still out there, this could...
He's dead. We're not losing another lantern.
He says it with such detached certainty. It's as if he saw it happen himself. No one argues with him. The guide steps closer to the prowlers. We fall into step behind him, staying close to his back. He bends his lantern back down until it's lowered into his outstretched arm. The pouch in his hand is set aflame. With a practiced flick of his wrist, he swings the staff back up and the glass on the lantern snaps closed.
Don't get left behind.
He takes 3 quick steps and tosses the pouch. The prowlers are back into the water before the pouch even lands. As soon as it does, the fire starts to lick and curl itself around the wood. The guide breaks into a sprint, and so do the rest of us. The blaze grows despite the heavy dampness from the lake. These bridges aren't normal bridges. Of course, that's true. Nothing here is right. Hopefully they won't collapse with the flames. We stay on the guide's heels, almost too close for comfort. If he stops abruptly, we'll all crash into another, maybe even fall off the bridge. Then the world tilts. I saw mid-stride when I put my foot down. The bridge isn't where it was. It lurches to one side, either because it was weakened or pushed. And I managed to keep our ground as just the guide. He presses on without even bothering to see if we were able to follow. Melanie growls in frustration as we push to keep up with the guide's pace. As our storm of feet thunder across the board, the sliver begins to rise into view just above the edge of the water.
It's the island.
The island, I squint and suddenly make out the craggly forms of land on earth. I see it, we're almost there. Safety at long last in sight. New energy surges through me. We push ourselves faster, longing to put these godforsaken bridges behind our backs. All at once, the bridges end and our entire group rushes ashore. Earth, solid earth, a haven from the water. I catch my breath while still moving even further away from the dark shoreline. I can't believe we actually made it. Even more difficult is the idea that we're only halfway done. When night falls once more, we will have to do it all again. A heavy arm falls across my shoulders, and I straighten to see Bameli smiling wearily at me.
Good work out there.
It's not the usual condemnation of a job well done. There's a sadness, perhaps even sympathy in the sentence. It ends flatly. Usually Bameli's comfort and good nature gives me at least the urge to smile. Right now it feels like a hollow victory. Despite still having the comfort of one another, we were incapable of doing any true good. We were only able to save ourselves. A quiet moment passes between us. And then the guide is there. He moves so smoothly that his step on the soft sand are nearly silent, and his dusky clothes blend with the thinning of the night.
The sun will rise soon. The fire on the bridge is the only reason this island isn't overrun with prowlers right now. However, they could still pose a threat.
Maya levels an empty look towards the guide.
Is there something we should do?
Come. Guide takes us to an area a bit further inland, but not too far from the water. Trees partly obscure our location, and there's enough room to watch the coast in case prowlers start to emerge from the water. Essentially, it's a place where an ambush would be hard.
If any of you see anything at all, speak up. We don't want them to sneak up on us.
Almost automatically, each member of the group turns in a different direction. As the sky continues to fade from pale purple to a muted blue, the water stays silent. For the first time, nothing happens. It's a miracle. Suddenly, my chest is lighter and the air is fresher. The first pricks of light appear over the horizon, stinging my eyes after such a long journey through the darkness. Sound catches my attention and I move, focusing towards the direction. Guide is opening the latch on his lantern again. He gently, almost respectfully, blows out the light.
We no longer have to worry about the Nixie. It is over for today.
I'm almost unable to keep tears of relief from pouring out at those words. We made it through the night. We survived. No one feels the need to speak. We look at each other, an understanding passing between us. Then we find our own space as comfortable as we can get and lie down for the rest we weren't sure would ever come. My eyes slowly blink open and readjusting to the brightness, what little there is. The sun is obscured by a thick layer of fog, making it impossible to estimate the time of day. I prop my elbows up and push myself up. The ground is hard and rocky. That isn't the only reason I'm eager to get on my feet. I check my surroundings and the harsh, craggly earth of the island, interlaced with twisting vines and gnarled branches. Beside me, Bameli is still fast asleep. The guide, however, is nowhere to be seen. I realize I don't recall seeing him lay down with everybody. It's likely he left us hours ago. There's a creeping silence here. I can't help but shudder at the hollow, aching feeling inside of me. It refuses to relent. I shift my weight back and forth, unsure of what to do with myself. Memories of last night's harrowing journey flicker through my mind. Mally wakes suddenly, rising with alarm. My mouth opens, then shuts after a moment of fumbling. A word finally escapes.
Hello.
Mally gives me a gentle smile and makes his way over to me.
Morning.
A pocket of quiet descends over us. Mally sighs. The atmosphere is weighing on him already.
We should eat something soon.
Yes.
Ugh, we're back to this, are we? I think this is kind of what happened in our first playthrough. But I'm not sure as, obviously it's been quite a while since our first playthrough. A distinct rustling of leaves around catches my attention. The guide appears emerging from the thicket. Mally glares at him as he makes his way over.
The Nixie will not tread on land in daylight. However, being near the shoreline is still dangerous. If you leave the center of the island, remain cautious. Before the sun sets, I will be in this area. It would be wise to meet me here before nightfall.
Why do you do this?
I sharply turn towards Bameli as he snarls and confronts the guide.
If you had just let him follow behind us, if you had been there before, none of this would have happened. They didn't have to die.
The guide looks away, seemingly unaffected.
If all you're going to do is leave everyone to be lost, then why bother guiding us at all?
Despite Bameli's severe words, the guide apparently considers his piece here finished. He turns towards the forest area from which he came.
Wait!
Mally calls out to the guide, reaching towards him. Before he can make contact, I quickly place a hand on his shoulder. He lowers his arms to the side, though I can feel the wrath emanating from him. We stay this way until the guide disappears from view. Mally begins to kick at the ground, spraying tiny pieces of gravel about.
Bameli, I know you're angry, but regardless of our feelings, we need the guide. If he leaves us, we'll all die.
And we've done so well with him?
I give him a cold glance. We won't even know which bridge to take without the guide. Mally knows that. This needs to stop. There are people counting on us to make it back.
We can't afford to lose our way.
The anger etched into his expression fades into sadness.
I can't stay here right now.
Quietly, I speak. I'm going to speak with the guide. I ball my hands into fists, steel my will, and started advancing in the direction the guide went. Pushed my way through the branches and reached the other shore of the island. I see the guide with his back towards me. I didn't try to be quiet as I approached. He must have heard me.
You haven't asked me to leave. Does that mean I can speak to you?
You may say what you like.
So, we got a moment alone with everybody else. And, I gotta say, I'm kind of sad this one was the last route that we got to take. But at the same time, I'm also really, really glad that it was. Because now we get... now we get to have, our basically grand finale. When he turns to face me, one feeling comes to the front of my mind. Sadness. I feel the tears well up in my eyes. After all of that's happened, the people who have died, how am I even supposed to talk to someone like him? He doesn't even seem concerned. He doesn't seem to care about anything. I doubt that he doesn't care about anything. I just think that he's so used to it. He can't let his feelings overwhelm him. Along with, we already know, he's a Nixie, kind of, basically.
Why can't I be more like you?
My voice is soft, but by his raised eyebrows, it seems the guide heard me.
I do not want to feel pain or sadness anymore. I am so tired. I wish I could feel nothing at all.
My head droops and I cover my face and cry.
How are you able to go through this every day? Is it nothing more than becoming used to it? I have seen death so many times since becoming a guard, and even before that I was familiar with loss, yet it still hurts so much. The sting has not dulled at all. I have simply learned to hide it better. And now it seems I cannot even do that.
I cannot stop sobbing. The tears just continue to fall. His disinterest strangely makes it easier to let my true self show. Although he remains silent, I can still feel the guide near me. He has not abandoned me here. Ah! After some time, I manage to stifle the tears and look up at him. His eyes are distant, looking out across the expanse of Sinlos.
You do not need practice. You need a new perspective. You can see 1,000 deaths and still feel pain at each one, so long as they hold meaning for you.
Oh my gosh, this man. He's dramatic and I love him.
How can I do otherwise? Losing one's life is a tragedy.
There are people dying even as we speak. You do not care about them.
I do not have to see those with my own eyes.
But you can still decide that those deaths are not relevant to you. Or perhaps you choose to feel that whether a person dies sooner or later makes no difference. Or even that death is to be preferred over life in this world. At least they have peace. Their death may even be beneficial to others. Any such idea would be fine. Pick what is easiest for you to swallow.
It sounds so cold, but he is simply giving what I asked for. I'm not able to stop myself from inquiring further.
What is your perspective?
He pauses for a moment in thought.
The villages in this area pay me so that I am able to stay and lead people when needed. But making a living is not the reason I do so. Neither is it so I can help those who wish to cross. I stay here so that I can make certain as few people attempt the journey as possible.
What?
I have decided to believe that I make a difference in the amount of those who come in contact with Sinlos. So long as I am here, others rarely try to cross on their own. They either wait for the few trips I am able to make, or don't go at all. I can also turn someone away if I feel they are unfit. My one hope in this life is that someday people will never attempt to cross the bridges again.
For a moment, I can feel the genuine emotion in his words.
It is a futile dream, I know. It is impossible to convince everyone.
Then the feelings are gone.
For those who do insist upon going, well, if their life is worth risking to save a few days of travel time, then it isn't worth very much at all. Understand?
Yes.
Fine.
He closes his eyes and thoughtlessly brushes a few loose strands of his hair back behind his ear. He seems to be losing some of his patience. For some reason, it is hard for me to see the guide acting so normal. It makes me realize how I never truly saw him for what he was. It's not your fault.
What?
The guide turns back to me incredulously.
I didn't want someone to die. I didn't.
My words get choked behind tears.
You're just a man. You cannot do more than anyone else. You cannot fix what is wrong with these bridges, or stop dangers from appearing, or make it so people will not have reasons to cross. You simply do what you can, like anyone else.
I feel anger begin to mix with my sorrow.
It is the world that needs to change, not you. No matter what choice you make, there will be suffering and hardships. All this time, I said I did not wish to leave anyone alone, but I have done so from the beginning. You are not my enemy.
The guide stares at me blankly. It seems as though he may be intentionally stripping himself of the human qualities he showed moments before.
We are not allies either. We are merely two strangers, walking the same path.
Regardless, I will be there for you.
Aww. Again, he watches me without speaking.
You should protect yourself.
He moves from me to stare across the water. this conversation is over. No matter, I will be strong for both of us.
I'm going to see how everything is on the island.
As I turn to leave, I feel comforted that at least in a small way, I understand the guide better. I head through the wooded part of the island. There isn't anything that could be called a path, but I manage to pick my way through the brush quite well. After moving on, I find Bamele in a jagged clearing, leaning against a tree. He's already noticed me and is looking my way, smiling. As I get closer, I can pick up on the sadness behind his jovial expression.
How are you faring? Any problems?
Everything is fine. I came to check on you.
How kind. I've calmed down since then.
I'm glad to hear that. Is there any way I can help or anything you'd like to say?
He raised an eyebrow at this, his grin becoming markedly playful.
I didn't expect to see you so worried about me, Kika.
I had to force myself not to avert my eyes at that moment, embarrassment flowing into me. Valley notices my reaction. He does not draw attention to it, however. Instead, he throws his arms out wide with a sour expression.
Have you seen the guide?
Valley is clearly asking out of a sense of obligation, and makes no secret that he is not pleased to be discussing the guide. I nod in response.
I saw him earlier. He is the same as always.
Good. In that case, I'm going to stretch my legs for a bit. I feel stiff from standing in one place for so long.
I would too, homie. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what happens next, and I won't take up any more of your time. I hope you have a good day. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.